Hi guys, so welcome back to my channel. This is a continuation of the previous video I made on drafting of Victorian corset. So in this video I'll be taking you through the boning techniques and the sewing techniques of this particular corset. So you're highly welcome to my channel. Please don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. So these are the three major fabrics that I'll be using. The first thing I do is iron the fabric out, then I cut this fabric on bias because I'll be using it for my boning channels. So if you're not familiar on how to cut your fabric on bias, it actually means to square your fabric up, then divide it into in a triangular way. So the next thing I do is to mark out the measurement for my bias. So I'll be using 1.5 inch because I think that is the best measurement for my size of bone. So this is how I do it, and I kind of mark out as much as I will need for this work. So the next thing I do is to fold my fabric, then place my patterns so I can be able to to cut it out. But I didn't go ahead to start cutting. I just trace out the amount that will be enough to occupy both the front and the back. So the reason why I'm actually doing this is to be able to gum everything first with my hairstyle so that I can now be able to cut everything once. So I didn't actually gum the lining part because I use this satin as my lining. So it's actually good to use a good lining for this particular project. So I went ahead to gum my fabric, the hairstyle. As you can see, this is the way I actually gummed it. So the next thing is to trace out sewing allowance in all the parts of the patterns. Then at the lower part I added extra 1 inch at the lower part. So after tracing this out, I went ahead to cut it out with my scissors carefully, okay? So don't forget that I gave my 1 inch at the lower part and ½ inch all through as a sewing allowance. So I repeated the same process at the back. So the next thing I do is to secure my fabric and my patterns with a pin. So here now I have to figure out the best pattern, the best way to actually place my sequence, to beautify it. So this is where your creativity have to come in. You must not use my method or my design. So I went ahead to secure the sequence on it and join the center fronts together. That is the one at the center. I joined the two sides together. So I figured out the best part that I'll be using for this, and I used the wording and I folded it into tracing out the underbust that's from the chest line. So I got a total of 6 and I placed it in this method and I cut it out. So after cutting it, the next thing I do is to go ahead to trim the edge to be in this sweetheart form. So the next thing is to place them side by side. That is the front side facing the back side, and iron it. So I repeated the same process at the other side. That is the side front one. So I trimmed the cup area too. So after trimming the cup area too, I made sure that the length was up to 7, that's the width was up to 7. Then I curved it in an egg shape and also trim. So I'll go ahead to iron the parts on the fabrics, okay, placing it in this method. So I repeated all the process on the lining, but here I use the gum stair as the part. You can decide to use a hairstyle, okay? So the next thing I do is to join the center front and the side front one together. That is tracing up the parts together. So then you join them together and repeat the same process on the other side. Then you also join the side front two, okay? After joining the side front one with the center front, you also join the side front too, which is this one. So after joining the side front too, the next thing is to join the back. Okay, this is the back, so you have to unpin it. So while joining the backs together, you have to consider the snatching of the body. Okay, so if your bust was 36, you can snatch it to 35. If your waist was 30, you can take it to 28. So depending on how tight or how you want the back to actually open, okay, this is where the work will be done. So the next thing I do is to join the two sides together. Okay, so after joining the two sides together, I just went ahead to to fit it a bit to see how it's actually looking. So I think the look is coming out and I love it, so I went ahead to iron it out. So the next thing I do is to repeat the same process on the lining part. Okay, I repeated the same process apart from the ironing part, but then I still ironed it. So while ironing the bust area, I opened it up and ironed it. I used a hairstyle to secure the hem lines together. So I joined the lining to materials together. I secured all the edge with the pin. So the reason why I'm actually doing this is to to stop the fabric from dancing with the lining out of shape. So I've actually traced off the center, okay, to give it the shape that I want. So you can just bring your creativity here. It's not a must that the shape must actually be like this. Okay, you can try to to give a sharp V shape. Okay, remember I didn't give this shape while cutting because I really wanted to take my time to give that shape the way I want after sewing this together. So I went ahead to figure out the best shape that I want, and I made mine to be a bit curvy and not just straight sharp V shape. So I just made mine to be a bit curvy, so you can just create your own style. This fashion had no limits. So I went ahead to fold the two sides together and cut my desired shape. So this is the result of what we just did, and I went ahead to secure the tip of all the sewing lines so as to avoid cutting or tearing from the lines. Okay, so the next thing I do is to go over to the boning technique. So I actually bone towards this direction. I don't bone towards the other direction, so the curvy part is actually on top. That is if I'm using a bias boning method. So I minus 1 inch upwards and downwards, then cut it out, then secure the edge of the bone with a masking tape. So this is me trying to trace up all my bones. That is the 1 inch upwards and minus 1 inch downwards, so as to be able to to have a space for the sewing allowance up and down. Okay, so I actually went ahead to soften up this bone before I secure the bone with the masking tape. So you can just watch my video, my short video on how to use bias method for boning. So I think that will give you a better understanding on how to bone your fabric using the bias method. So this is just how you do the bone. Make sure that the covering area is going to be on top, and you sew it left. Then after sewing it the other side, then you just trim out the excess from the side and bend it over again and sew it back. So this will give you a neater result. So just go and check out the video, okay? It will benefit you a lot. So on the lining side, so because I'm not actually using a bias method for the lining part, so I actually have to place the bone on a curvy side also, so that it will be able to push out the fabric. So this is the way it is, and the next thing I do is to join the top together using a hemming gum. So I have to place this hemming gum both lining parts and fabric parts, that is the top area. So then I notch it and trim out the bulky area, that is thick area. Then I iron it out. So while ironing it out, I sprinkle some water so it can be able to heat up, and I was using a dry iron because I was actually using a generator for this tutorial. So I used a dry iron so as to be able to get the desired look. So I hope you love this outfit. I hope you love the way it's turning out. So I trimmed the lower part, then joined them together. So the next tutorial you'll be getting on this dress is actually the modesty panel, which is the back side that will be having an eyelet. So I'll drop a video on how to actually make this back panel. So for this video, the next thing I do is to bias the lower part, because I didn't actually turn it up. So I used bias to to finish up the lower part. So this is the modesty panel, and I hope you'll watch the next video on how I was able to do that and also attach a sleeve to this top. So please do not forget to give this video a thumbs up, and don't forget to share your opinion on how you see this dress. Please don't forget to subscribe, and see you in my next video. Bye.